The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood. And here's your host. He's on a leaky boat, ready to save the world. It's Robert Winfree. Robert Winfree.
You were not prepared.
Go ahead and introduce our guest so I can hit another button.
All right. Yeah, I'm Robert. That's Mark. This is Damn You Hollywood. And joining us this week, we have Jason Teasley. Welcome you back to the show.
Everybody's favorite. There you go. There you go.
I'm done now. Welcome back to the show, Jason.
On this episode of The Gong Show.
Glad to be back with you, gentlemen. To talk Mortal Kombat 2. I mean, I was spearheading this, I believe. I think I bumped a couple of people off to make sure that I stayed on. And I'm here to discuss the highs, lows, and the in-betweens.
What did you want from this movie after the second one? I'm not going to bore everyone with a recap of our previous podcast. That'll be in the TikTok in the next few days. But we did review this. We were unkind, to say the least.
Yeah.
So coming out of that and going into this, other than, the addition of Johnny Cage, of where we had a raucous debate over who would play him, what did you want out of a Mortal Kombat 2 movie?
Yeah, I mean, I still owe a movie review of your and Robert's choosing because I lost that bet. So I haven't forgotten, and I won't let you guys forget. I do owe you a movie review.
It's already booked, if you'll recall.
Yeah, I don't remember the movie, but yeah, that's fine. I was really hoping that we would transition into the actual fighting tournament, which we did, and I loved, and kind of move the story along. Get back to the heart of what Mortal Kombat is about, and that's the fighting tournament, and basically the tier system that we're all familiar and know and love in the games. It was very story driven. I wanted to see more characters get their time to shine, which we definitely did that. I wanted to get I wanted things to be more brutal. We definitely got that, but I also wanted to kind of stay kind of grounded in the fact that this is a fighting tournament to determine the fate of the realms.
All right. So we're gonna not waste time tonight. Robert, why don't you give us that sleek, sexy plot synopsis for this movie?
Sure. Good guys win, bad guys lose. Sequel is we go to hell to rescue everyone who dies.
And there it is, folks. Happy to be here. You can catch me.
Yeah. What is the bad guy's name? Shao Kahn.
Yeah. Look, we open with a flashback to about 10,000 years ago. No, they don't actually go into detail. When Shao Kahn conquers the realm of Edenia by killing King Jared and adopting Kitana, who is the actual hero of everything that's about to transpire. We bump into the future where Johnny Cage is a washed-up old action star. He gets recruited. He declines the invitation to be part of the tournament. He gets sucked into a fight anyway because the Elder Gods care not for your free will. We meet Jade along the way, who is Kitana's bodyguard / only friend / our part 2 of the Girl Boss experience. We also meet Quan Chi, who is able to do magical bullshit. We already had Shang Tsung, who does magical bullshit, but now we have 2 balding magical bullshit people up for the evil team. He resurrects Kung Lao because reasons. And the tournament begins. Everybody has a number of fighters. You then fight. If you lose, you're out of the tournament. Johnny Cage fights Kitana first and loses, but she declines to murder him because then he couldn't have stuff for the rest of the movie. They resurrected Kano at some point because he's got a magical bullshit amulet that they need to turn Shao Kahn into a lich. They attack Raiden. They get him to start leaking god powers. They suck most of that into the magical bullshit amulet. They turn Shao Kahn into a lich who now can't die. He violently murders Cole Young because no one cared about Cole Young.
And there was much rejoicing.
Sonya kills Sindel, who gets brought back anyway because death means less here than it does to the average Dragon Ball episode. Again, there's a few more fights. What they wind up doing is before the final round, we have to sneak into the palace and make Shao Kahn mortal because he's a big cheater face with how he's going about fighting.
And so they say, nanny, nanny, foo-foo, when he loses his powers.
So they try to get the amulet to destroy it because you have to kill the phylactery before you can kill a lich. And Shao Kahn has perceived this possibility, and he went to Quan Chi and he said, "Hey, we're doing a sequel. I need more people from the first movie. Give me that dude from the first movie." And they went, "Wait, Sub-Zero?" I'm like, "Yeah, but not Sub-Zero." So we regenerate Bi-Han, now no longer Sub-Zero, but the evil noob Cybot, who shows up, and he is now the guardian of the amulet. So they almost break the amulet, but then noob Cybot takes it to the Nether Realm. Jax dies. Kitana gets discovered for her duplicity because she's been working with Raiden. Jade has a brief crisis of conscience about what side she's going to be on. They ultimately decide that the last 2 standing on the good guys' side, in this case it's Liu Kang and Sonya Blade, will go tag team it out in a dying art form against Kitana and Shao Kahn in the main event, while Kano, who's a good guy now because he likes air conditioning, we'll go with Johnny Cage and try to find the amulet in the Netherrealm, but they need a guide in the Netherrealm because we need more people from the first movie. So they go find Scorpion. And Scorpion guides them through hell and with magical bullshit powers finds Noob Saibot. Everybody fights. Johnny Cage unlocks his powers. Jade shows up because she's a good guy now. And while this is all going on, Shao Kahn is fighting Liu Kang and Sonya, and he kills, sort of, Liu Kang. He stabs him, because Liu Kang killed Kung Lao earlier. And after he's been stabbed, Liu Kang is like, no, you don't understand. I'm the dragon. But I'm not the chosen one, because it's got to be the girl this time. I'm going to go to the other world and bring Kung Lao back from the dead. Okay, buddy. He then Shao Kahn knocks out Sonya. He's like, yay, victory. And Kitana's like, no, I renounce you. And the gods now respect free will for some unknown reason.
They're capricious gods. You know.
So Kitana becomes a good guy, and she fights Shao Kahn, and the amulet breaks right about the time she kills him. So she has regained the throne of Edenia, and Earthrealm is saved. And then Johnny Cage is relating all this to Tarkinians around a campfire because he and Baraka kind of bonded earlier because we need a big stupid goofball who will just believe what the blowhard says. This is in the formula. Raiden shows up. Kano shows up with Quan Chi, and Raiden goes, look, we lost a lot of good men out there and horses, and we have to bring them back from the dead.
Thank you, Robert.
So please come back for Mortal Kombat 3.
Jason, what did you think of the movie?
Well, tell me you haven't played any of the games without telling me any of the games. You listen to Robert's synopsis.
I have played almost all the games.
Okay, well, obviously you didn't transition to a lot of it, but we'll go back and fix that later. This movie.
Okay, did you want to get to your part of the review, or do you want me to list out all the Easter eggs and insane lore of Mortal Kombat?
Hang on,
before
this gets into a fist fight, I told him go fast so that you would have more time to talk.
Yeah, so I mean, this movie was good. I mean, it wasn't great. I hated the whole girl boss shit. Love the fatalities. I liked that it kind of transitioned to the reboot of the Mortal Kombat universe, and it didn't stay in the old lore. When they rebooted it, the Mortal Kombat had a little bit of Mortal Kombat X, and then the full reboot of Mortal Kombat, where you have Liu Kang that becomes the fire god who takes Raiden's place, which is that setting up. That's why he kind of didn't die. He just evaporated into fire and became, the last dragon to go fight Shona. Yes, Mark, that reference was just for you. But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that it went back to the whole tournament fight. You had tournament fights. I love the brutality of the kills. The Shao Kahn getting his face basically sawed into 3 equal pieces was great. Seeing Ko Yun's head getting crushed was phenomenal. Even though that he's going to come back in 3 as Kenshi, that's already been leaked, but I've seen and I hate it because Kenshi's a great character in the games. Then you have, Quan Chi. I love the fact that we actually did introduce Quan Chi because being the necromancer. So we're going to see the Deadly Alliance in part 3 between him and Shang Tsung, where they kind of fight and see who's going to betray who. The FBI, who it was the CIA, and all that.
Jesus Christ, this is reference Palooza tonight.
And then we're going to get to see Shinnok in the next one. So the only thing I didn't like is they didn't have a lot of the. They could have done a lot better with Karl Urban as Johnny Cage. Just basically giving him his thing, his quote unquote power, which if you know anything from the lore, it's got convoluted with the reboot. He's from an ancient line of heroes, and that's why his kick is what finally, after 3 people fighting with Nusabu, where his kick is the one that shatters the amulet. I don't know if they're going to explore that in the next movie. But I really like the fact that you actually got to flesh out some of the characters. I hated the fact that Kitana was one of them. I really think that she needed a dialed down role, and she didn't need to be the main focal. But overall,
I have follow-up questions there. I don't want to let that one just fly past. So I have a couple of questions I'm going to throw out to you, Jason. Answer them in whatever order you want.
Okay.
I don't understand what you didn't like about Kitana's role in this movie. I thought she shared, in terms of lead, roughly the same amount of screen time as Johnny Cage. And I thought they split the good stuff that they get to do pretty evenly between them. So I'm not entirely, everyone's defaulting to the girl boss thing, but I shouldn't say everyone, because there's plenty of people out there that Critical Drinker being one of them. Hang on. Critical Drinker being one of them, that were just nope, they used her appropriately. But if you didn't like her, what character do you wish they had given more of a lead role to, and why? Go.
Well, my thing with Kitana is, in the game, she isn't that big of a deal in the game.
Okay.
She is the adopted daughter and everything like that, but she isn't this trying to think of how to word this. She was a background character in the games. I wish they would also, if they was going to do Kitana, I wish you would also introduce Melina, which is basically her sister and her counterpart, but she's a reptilian, and it's one of yeah, it's crazy. She's basically a different race, but also Shao Kahn's daughter, so they're kind of like adopted siblings, but they're like equal. So I think that if you could have brought her in and replaced Jade with her, I think that would have been good. I think Jade was a wasted character, where you could have substituted Melina in with Kitana and made the same story. I think you could have expanded Johnny Cage a little bit, and I think you could have expanded on Sonya, Jax, and Kano, because Kano isn't. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's just an opportunist. So you could have done that. I mean, if they would have I wish they would have put the metal plate on Kano. That would have been great character reference from the games. But yeah, I mean, I think you could have just scaled her back, put Melina in, take Jade out, expand the roles that way to see, because in the games, Melina is basically fighting to. It's basically the same theory as Marvel Thanos, Shao Kahn being Thanos. You got two sisters fighting for the attention. One is always getting favor over the other. The other one's jealous of it. I think you could have expanded that a little bit. Jade is not a good guy. She actually sides with Shang Tsung. That's when she denounces, and gets her staff, and she gets the green staff, and it looks all pretty and stuff. And then she goes to Outworld she's going to Outworld basically to get the amulet, to protect the amulet and help Shang Tsung out. But then when she gets there, she's like, I'm going to actually help destroy the amulet. Yeah, it was weird to me on that. So yeah, I mean, I just think you could have introduced a couple of other characters. You could have expanded the whole reason of the race. Kung Lao, Noob Sabat, and I don't know why they didn't make Kano a race. I think that was a missed opportunity as well.
Because then he can't make quippy one-liners, and that's what everyone wants him there for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, if you could, I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity to make him like to at least try, but they kind of dismiss it. Oh, he doesn't have a soul. I didn't know he was a ginger. So yeah, I mean, that was just some things that to answer your question in a long, shiny squirrel format, Mark.
What do you think of the fight scenes, Jason? Like, obviously the fighting in Mortal Kombat. Obviously, the fighting in Mortal Kombat's like the most important thing. There are certain game mechanics that are, that are associated with the game that make it distinctive from, let's say, Street Fighter or Tekken or some shit like that. So, do you feel like? I mean, like again, not a huge fan of Mortal Kombat. I've played it a handful of times. So I'm seeing like a spinning saw hat and some other stuff that I kind of remember from the game. Did you feel like the movie gave you enough of that sort of thing, or was that also kind of a miss for you?
I really love the fight scenes. I mean, I think the Liu Kang and Kung Lao fight was one of the best fight scenes I've seen in like a recent memory in a movie. And the set design that went along with it added to the feel. The portal is a famous stage in the fight. I really like the fight scenes. I mean, I did think that there was a fight that I didn't like outside of the initial Jax and Jade fight. I thought that was one of the worst in the movie, and it's no knock on that.
I honestly thought you were going to complain about Kitana versus Johnny Cage because it wasn't really a Mortal Kombat video game fight. It wasn't even so much of a fight as it was a
set piece to do more character stuff with Johnny Cage.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the reason why I went the Jade Jax fight being my least favorite. I mean,
Okay.
the Johnny Cage fight is not much further up. I mean, it's like those are the two bottom ones. But I think the Jade and Jax was too much reliant on trying to push the fact that, hey, we're going to save you because you didn't kill one of ours, so we're not going to kill you. And it was just way too much conversation as they're trying to fight. Johnny Cage was just trying to get the fuck out of there because he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to fight. And then it was, okay, I'm going to have to do something or I'm going to die. And then you see that, and you get the fact, the snarky character quibs that Johnny Cage is. You get those in there, and you see that that goes back to, and this is where the kind of blending is. The original Johnny Cage is way up. He enters the tournament, and he's way over his head. He doesn't belong, but he's there anyway. But they tried to give this Johnny Cage and Karl Urban's character a backstory where he was a karate champion previously. Then he went into the movies and got soft and lost his drive. But outside of that, one of my favorite fights was the Cole Young Joe Kahn fight. Simply because you get to see a lot of Shao Kahn's moveset with the shoulder block and everything, and then it's on one of my favorite stages of the acid pit. So, I mean, but again, the Kung Lao Liu Kang fight was miles above any other fight scene, and that kind of saved a lot of the movie for me.
All right, let me take a break from you. Robert, what'd you think of the movie?
I'm really torn on this one. Ultimately, I have to applaud the fact that it just kind of went, all right, we tried to do our own thing with the previous Mortal Kombat, and that didn't work.
It ended poorly.
So we're just going to lean as much into all of the silliness, for want of a better expression, as possible. And that's really the only way you can approach this. Like, the fundamental premises of a Mortal Kombat story are so weird that if you're not willing to just lean into it, then don't do it. Do anything else. Like, either do this wholeheartedly or just don't at all.
Well,
like,
one of the comments I'm seeing bandied about, I want to see if you agree with this, is it was like they took all the criticism of the first movie and decided that's all this movie was going to be, was a giant course correction based solely on fan service.
That feels like what they did. I mean, it really does feel like a lot of what was going on there. Oh, you didn't care all that much for our new original character, Cole Young. Well, he won't be here very long, and he won't do anything while he's here.
I am honestly surprised they didn't kill him in the first 5 minutes. The fact that they waited as if they were like, we know you want him dead. Come, children. Come on the journey with us.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to die much sooner. I'm kind of with you in that one. I was kind of being facetious when I mentioned the girl bossing of Kitana and whatnot. I don't think she comes across as the traditional girl boss. Jade kind of does. I'm with Jason in the sense that I didn't want Jade here. Like, Jade is the wrong character to have been in this role. There's a lot of ways we could have gone instead of that. Mortal Kombat has a colossal list of characters you could draw from. It was one of the reasons we were like, wait, you created a new character for us to follow in the first one when you have like the largest roster of characters in fighting game history at your fingertips. But no, you, dear writer, I'm sure can come up with something more interesting. And turns out, no, not even close. But yeah, Melina would have been better in no small part because Melina would have sided with Shao Kahn at the end, and we get a whole different dynamic about how all that plays out, which would have been more interesting. Yeah, Jade's the one in this that kind of annoyed me as a character because her big thing is I will empower myself by smashing a visage of Shao Kahn and throw off the patriarchy and become a strong, independent woman who don't need no man, and then do minimal work to actually help everything with getting the amulet destroyed, but still be there and do it. Kitana beating Shao Kahn. There's a better way to have done that than the way they did it. And it doesn't help that one of our bits of closing narration is Johnny Cage doing the all you had to do was recognize you had the power inside of you all along crap, which made me roll my eyes. Like, the only saving grace to that is that he's in character doing it and he's a blowhard. As far as like the individual fights, again, I agree with Jason. Like, Liu Kang and Kung Lao is the best. It actually has like stuff that they're doing. It feels interesting. You actually like play around with the gimmick of the remote control hat. You play around with some of the space. It's got a good backdrop for it. That's really, I think, one of the more well executed ones. Johnny Cage and Baraka is funny, which, you know,
that's my favorite fight. That's my favorite fight of this whole movie.
I appreciate the levity, but part of my issue with that, like why it doesn't rank higher for me, is by that point I've seen Johnny Cage get the crap kicked out of him like at least one too many times to really be invested in what's going on here. Sonya and Sindel felt like a wasted opportunity. You've got an okay gimmick with the spikes coming up and down, and you've got a fairly confined space to operate in. And then we just don't do anything with it. It's, again, a missed opportunity more than anything bad.
I think I said to Evan, it reminded me of the scene in Flash Gordon where Flash and the Baron are fighting on a platform, and the lead Hawkman is bored by their fight, so he grabs a remote and starts sending spikes up and tilting the platform. You know, and of course changes the whole dynamic of the fight. That's what that scene. I could not get that image out of my head of Flash Gordon.
Yeah, Jax and Jade was not a very good fight, for a lot of reasons. I don't mind conversation amongst my fight choreography, but when your choreography is that lackluster, it just didn't hit.
I'll tell you, I think it was a matter of that's not a good pairing.
That too.
Like, you know this from just years of watching pro wrestling and other combat sports. You get guys in there that are good fights for each other, and they're going to give you more entertainment because they're better matched in different ways. Not that they have equal skill or anything like that, but they complement each other in a way that's entertaining. And then you have two fighters and it's all thumbs and two left feet. And you're like, yeah, these two never should have been paired together. That's how I felt. Like, Jax needed a different opponent. Jade needed a different opponent. And when you put them together, I don't think anyone was smart enough or talented enough to know how to make a fight between those two mismatched goons look good.
Yeah, agreed. The stuff with Scorpion and Noob Saibot, it felt tacked on. It felt like when they were writing this, they went again, like they decided they were going to lean more into the games, which is a good thing. And then halfway through it, they went, oh, we haven't used Scorpion or Bi-Han or any of the ninjas or any of those. This is like an iconic pillar of the franchise. Some of the most iconic figures. We have to include them. And well, what do? Yeah, they can do stuff in the Netherworld. It felt. I'm not going to say insulting because I don't think it was insulting, but it was definitely borderline an afterthought when you look at how much time we devote to Kitana going back and forth between Edenia and Earthrealm, and here's another couple of scenes of Quan Chi being creepy, and boy, we just need a few more references and vulgarity lines that come out of Kano instead of doing anything with Scorpion or Bi-Han, in this case against Noob Saibot instead of Sub-Zero, but like a giant missed opportunity there to have, like, again, iconic characters that we sort of got introduced to in the previous movie be reduced to, hey, they show up in the last act for, 5 minutes.
In fairness to the audience, I don't know if anyone, you as a film critic and maybe you as somebody who demands more of your entertainment, aren't satisfied, and you're entitled to be unsatisfied. I kind of looked at that and I went, I was so disinterested in what I was watching. I was paying attention to the rubes and marks around me and their reactions to things. And I use that language specifically because I felt like I was at a pro wrestling show. People were hooting. They had everything but fucking signs there. In the crowd, fucking Sub-Zero 316 means I just froze your ass. Like, people
I assume there was a fight forever chant at some point.
Yes. At one point, someone's chanting, "You fucked up" at Sonya Blade. So for me, and I'm going to let you continue if you have more to say, but I just want to point out that I feel like this movie gave the vast majority of the audience exactly what it wanted. I don't think most of the audience wanted deep backstories to any of these characters.
Well,
and hang on.
Okay.
The fact that they saved Scorpion versus Noob Saibot, I guess, is
it's
what
Jason's
you're calling him?
name. Look at it. It's right there on the screen for you to read.
I was thinking a whole other thing, but I don't want to do racist jokes tonight. So,
Why not?
Huh?
Why not?
Because I just want to get through this. But everyone was satisfied with that. They know Scorpion. Apparently, they know not Sub-Zero. So they had him fight, and it's when the whole movie is basically here's an action figure, bang them together, and everyone does this maneuver right here. If you'll allow the parlance. I mean,
Where'd you get that video of me on a Saturday night?
that was a gift from Dorian. But yeah, I think, like I said, which master do you want to serve? Do you want to make the best, most coherent film, or do you want to give enough fan service to the people who are not demanding of this sort of entertainment exactly what they want, so they'll come back for more?
Look, if I'm going to criticize Super Mario Galaxy as being brain rot for kids, I'll say the same about this for like the 30-year-olds with Mortal Kombat nostalgia. It's the same stupid thing and the same stupid with the same stupid philosophy behind it. I didn't like it then. I don't like it here.
Okay, but I'm not telling you should like it, Robert. Let's be clear.
I'll rephrase. I didn't think Super Mario Galaxy was all that good. I don't think this is all that good.
Okay. Anything else? And I don't have any other questions for you at this time, Witness.
Yeah, I got a couple. I'll give some credit to the guy playing Shao Kahn. They do a decent job. He does a decent job with the physicality and like the menace of the voice. That can be a hard thing to walk. Like we've seen that look really, really dumb a lot of times, and this one didn't look stupid. So that's a positive.
Waste his physicality, as they tend to do in a lot of other movies, where let's get a big muscle man to look intimidating, and then they don't use it in any way. They keep him draped in cloaks, or he's just walking around yelling at people. Here, he feels like a big menacing Brock Lesnar Beast Unleashed kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you want a stark comparison, look at how they represent him on Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That movie, that I know that was probably one of the worst movies ever made.
It's up there.
It's a guilty pleasure, but yeah, I mean, the stark contrast to how he was portrayed between the two movies, they did, and how he's portrayed in the game. This is a lot closer to how he's portrayed in the game, and the menace and the imposing force that he is.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation is so bad, I refuse to do it as a long road to ruin with the original. I just did that one as an on trial, and we shoved Mortal Kombat Annihilation into Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2 triple features.
It has more in common with, or Chun-Li Origins or whatever the hell it was than
Yes.
it does with the first Mortal Kombat movie. So props to the guy playing Shao Kahn. If I could throw a few more bits of criticism. If you went into this knowing you're going to make a third, and I assume the third's already been greenlit, given
Yeah, it's already.
Okay. If I were to go into this knowing I'm getting a third, I don't kill Shao Kahn here. I use him a bit more sparingly, but he can still be like one of the very major villains. And you have two.
Hang on. Death means nothing in this world. It means almost less than it does in the Marvel universe. Who cares? They'll just bring him back to life.
No, you've got a bigger bad that they're going to use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not bringing him back. They're gonna use Shinnok, who's a fallen elder god.
Yeah,
Cool.
And he's the god of he's basically Hades.
God, I know what I sound like when I talk about black movies. Go ahead, keep going.
So I might have saved Shao Kahn personally. I would have restructured this a little bit. I would have kept it more about like the Shang Tsung and Quan Chi kind of rivalry with Shao Kahn looming in the background, because Shang Tsung's in this movie briefly, but it's still Shang Tsung. He's kind of supposed to be a big deal, and he just wanders around, delivers a few lines of dialogue, teleports a couple of people, and then gets blasted by Raiden. Maybe he's okay, maybe he's not. We'll see if we have the availability of the actor for 3. Like it's a giant waste of screen time, a really good character, and a pretty good actor.
Yeah, I think if they would have kept Shang Tsung out of this one and brought him in, or just tease him for doing the Deadly Alliance, because that's what is being rumored for the third film is the Deadly Alliance storyline from the game is when Shang Tsung and Quan Chi team up to resurrect Shinnok, and who's going to be in his favor. I think if you would have done that and just did the teaser, you could have just done a teaser and just had basically gave the screen time for Shang Tsung to Quan Chi. You would have had it. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out, and I'm missing a fighter on Shao Kahn's side. You had Shao Kahn, Sindel, Jade, Kitana, and who was the fifth?
Kung Lao. Evil Kung Lao was their 5th.
Okay. Yeah, I was like,
because they get to choose who their champions are instead of having them chosen by the randomly capricious gods.
Yeah.
They're very Roman, these gods.
I was forgetting that they use Kung Lao as one of their champions.
All right.
Yeah. So point being, like, I think especially when you have like a good actor as Shao Kahn, like they could have done more with him if you set him up appropriately and use him as kind of the lead into the next one instead of doing the entire arc with him and Kitana, because Kitana's the main character here, basically. But so there was that. Sindel was a giant waste. You could have thrown anyone into that role. You could have thrown any character into that spot. I mean, they don't even do anything with like the angst and drama of Kitana still being like vengeful and angry at Shao Kahn, while Sindel's kind of just, succumbed to Stockholm syndrome. It's a giant bit of, character work that they just ignore completely. I'm still pissed we haven't got Reptile, because
yeah, I think Reptile would have been a great addition in this movie.
Yeah, there's places you could have put him in this one. Look, my big hope for the third one is that we avoid the robot ninjas.
I was going to say that I was hoping to get Fire X.
Please
Cyrax,
let
Ermac,
the elder gods or whatever stupid thing you people are talking about develop an AI that creates robot ninjas.
No, it's a bit of like magical technology where ninja clans would turn themselves into robots because they couldn't be defeated by the other ninja clans. And
Sub-Zero's clan creates ninja robots, Smoke and Cyrax. So then Scorpion's clan develops their own ninja robot.
This
I
is
want to
like
say,
listening. This
isn't
is
that
like
what
listening,
Ermac?
this is like listening to my daughter tell me about like her mangas and anime shows that she watches. And
Yeah.
like I'm trying to be. God help me. God help me. I
It-
am trying to remember that not everything has to be my thing, and that I should give you guys the same respect that I would demand and beat out of you all. So I'm sitting here quietly and I'm just smiling to myself. This is fucking painful for me, and that's okay. I'm allowed to be pained. God knows I've done it to
Yeah.
the rest of you.
Well, I mean, you got to think there's probably with all these spin-offs, you're looking at 20 plus games.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're-
I'll
that
be
you're
honest,
pulling-
but that's also why I'm not really talking and I'm not making a lot of snarky jokes, because I'm realizing, oh God, I had no idea that the lore went this deep and this long.
Remind me to send you the video.
No.
Yeah,
No, I'm not a gamer, and I feel like as you guys have been talking, and I've been thinking that I leave the iron on. I've also been like, I wish my son could just tag in, because he'd be perfect for this. Like, this is shit he pays attention to, like all of it. And it's like anytime we do video game movies, I'm always at a loss because I'm not a gamer person. I'm not part of the gamer culture. I kind of play games here and there. I've played games throughout my life, but I don't think I have any attachment to any video game the way you two guys have, and Alexis does, and my son does, and the vast majority of people on Earth seem to do.
Don't worry, you'll be in this exact same position in a couple of months when we do Street Fighter, so you'll be more comfortable here next time.
Wonderful.
yeah,
I can't wait.
Or when we go do Resident Evil.
I saw the trailer for that.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I am hoping for a Chinese land invasion.
I'm cautiously optimistic, not super cautiously.
It looks really good. I mean,
Okay.
if you're familiar with the
At
lore,
this point, if it's good, it's just because like they owe Jason Teasley a good movie. That series.
oh yeah, because I'm ready to take a bullet to the head after some of the.
All right, let me get some of my thoughts in here. Obviously, I'm going to review this movie as just as a movie. I have zero attachment to the lore. I just said I didn't know there was even this much of it. I kind of feel like in one of those TikTok videos where someone takes a foot and they just sink all the way to the bottom of something. I'm like, whoop, I'm gone. I don't.
I will send you two videos. I don't know if you'll peruse them or not, but there's a really nice YouTube channel that has the insane lore of various games. He kind of hit big with the insane lore of Tekken because Tekken is an insane world. But because he did that one, he's done them for every major fighting game. So there is the insane lore of Mortal Kombat, the insane lore of Street Fighter, and he just goes through again literally the lore of these insane games.
So Johnny Cage and Kitana didn't bother me the way it seems to be bothering some people. I think they used Johnny Cage appropriately. I think you needed a POV character that speaks for the audience that says, what the fuck is all of this? That's probably why I'm not as hard on him as you guys are, because I'm the guy Johnny Cage is supposed to be speaking for, or to. It's the people with no attachment to this game. Beyond I played it a few times when I was a kid. So I think Karl Urban's a great actor. Love him on The Boys, loved him in Lord of the Rings. Almost anything that he does, he brings his A game. And I think he knew the assignment here. He leaned into it. Everything he does with the glasses, I kind of remember from the video game, and that was fun. That was my one little bit of that's in the game. The Kitana stuff, I mean, like, you need a hero in this, and there's boys and girls in this world. So we have a boy doing some hero stuff over here. We have a girl doing some hero stuff over here. That all worked for me. I'm not so far gone that anytime you have a girl in a lead role, it automatically defaults to it's girl boss, it's bad. I have to judge it with each movie. And here,
again, in fairness, let me make clear, I was being facetious when I said that about her in the review because it's shorthand.
I'm not attacking you.
I know that's for the audience. Like if you had a serious issue with me, you'd have beat me over the head with a chair. I'd know it. So would the audience.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. But look, you got to have heroes in your movies, and if you're gonna, have two heroes, you probably should have one boy and one girl. That's just fucking symmetry. It's good movie making. You have to speak to all your audience, not just the one little niche, or your movie's going to be too small and it won't make any money. So what And here's the thing: is that she doesn't win every fight. She gets her ass kicked. She's betrayed. Bad things happen to her, and she's only saved by the fact that at the very end is the ta-da in the nick of time magical bullshit. Nothing she did. So good for her. So none of that stuff bothered me.
Her Razor fans.
Yeah, sure. If anything, I want a Johnny Cage Kano spinoff. I think I want them in a buddy cop movie. Like, I'm a simple man and I want with a simple plan. And I don't have your predilections for certain things. So all the Kano stuff I laughed at and I thought was the best part of the movie. I think his character's funny. I think his line delivery is funny. This guy playing Kano is fucking great. And him and Karl Urban present the only relatable human interaction in the movie. Again, if you're all there for the Mortal Kombat stuff, then this may or may not even reach you. But I definitely heard some hee-hawing and guffawing every time Kano said something in the audience around me, so I'm not the only one. Yeah, their stuff, they have great chemistry on camera. It was good stuff together, and I laughed every time they were together doing things. It's mostly the last third of the movie. I'm bored by fight movies. I'm bored by fighting games. None of this stuff really appeals to me. I kept thinking the entire time I was watching this, what it must have been like to be black and watching martial arts movies and then become the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, this is like, that's the audience for this. Certainly not me. But I saw recognizable game mechanic stuff like the saw hat and shit like that. So I was like, game stuff. It looked, I guess, cool if I have to be fair to Flair. I didn't really have a problem with it. I'm just, 2 hours of watching a video game I can't play doesn't really appeal to me. But I was trying to give it a chance and just enjoy it for what it was. I said to Robert at the start of the show, I think this isn't a good movie by any stretch of the imagination and by any law of movie craft making. This fails on almost every level. However, it's a great, I said adaptation, and Robert argued with me, so let me defend my use of the word adaptation. If you were to take an actual video game and say, now you're a movie, this is what it would look like. That's what it is. It's cutscenes, fight, cutscenes, fight, cutscenes, fight, cutscenes, fight, lobster. Fin. I don't know how else you do this unless you want to make a real movie. So if you as an audience member are like, I just want to see a video game with real people in it, well, it accomplished that in spades. Mission accomplished. And I think it's not going to win any awards, but I think that works in its favor for what the mission was. And the mission was get as many of you folks into the theater, make you happy enough that you'll come back and do a third one of these. Outside of that, I kept thinking the girl playing Jade was Amanda Stenberg. Turns out that's not her. And I keep thinking that girl and the girl who played Jade are the same lady. And I keep making that mistake. It's actually the chick who plays, I think it's Constance from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, as is the Kitana. Because I'm like, I know who she is, and she's not Olivia Munn. So who the hell is she? And it turns out it's another character. It's another actor who was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So we have a reunion
Which
going on.
Which explains the CW level shot composition and interactions between them.
I mean, to be fair, nobody can act in these movies. Karl Urban is like acting. Karl Urban, the guy playing Kano, acting leagues around everybody. The girl playing Sonya still can't act. The guy playing Jack still can't act. And that's like, a good portion of your cast. Everybody else is doing Wu-Tang Kung Fu movies. So, yeah. My expectations of good acting are much lower for that kind of a thing. All in all, I went last and I went best because I know that you and Robert and Jason had more to say about this and had more meaningful things to say about this than I was going to. All I can say about this is I ran the fuck out of the theater when this was over, partially because I had to pee, but also because I was so fucking done with watching a video. I only watched Let's Plays to get through the Lego games when I couldn't figure out what the puzzles were. I don't watch this stuff. I'm not part of that culture. I know the rest of the breathing world is, so I accept that. I'm not one of these people who thinks just because I don't like it, it's bad or it shouldn't exist. However, my personal experience is this is hard for me to watch. I don't want to watch a 2-hour long Let's Play. I barely want to watch any video game adjacent thing that's 2 hours.
If you're gonna watch a Let's Play that long, one of the things that makes it work is the host, the guy playing the game, was staying engaged with everything that's going on. Like
in fairness, the one Let's Play where I was interested in the cutscenes and not interested in the fights, and so thankfully somebody has an edit of this on YouTube, was Injustice. But I actually like the story of Injustice. It makes sense to me. It reaches me in a way that, without fully knowing what the Mortal Kombat lore is, or maybe I'm being unfair, doesn't. But Jason, you look like you've been ready to rebut a lot of what I've said, and I appreciate you taking your meds tonight to let me finish my thoughts. So I will give you the floor.
No, I mean, I people can dislike things, and I'm okay with that. I mean, there's a lot of things that I like that other people don't. I mean, and I'm fully acceptable. I'm not going to hate on somebody that doesn't like this movie because you're not familiar with it. You don't know all the lore, the backstory, and everything, the tie-ins, the Easter eggs, and everything, all the fan service, and that's totally understandable. You went into this. You said you're not familiar, so you went into this kind of blind. So a lot of stuff didn't land with you that landed with me and Robert and the audience that you was with. So yeah, I mean, but I think going back, I think a lot of characters were wasted. I think Cole Young should have been killed off immediately. I think he should have not at the opening. The cold open should have been just like him being murdered, and just like hit by a car and ran over and ran over and ran back over.
And I'm making the audience wait for the main event where you squash the where you squash the face.
I wish they would have just been like, oh yeah, he died off screen.
He died on his way back to his home planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Had the Simpsons, had the little Simpsons thing, just Cole Young was just blowing up in 8-bit. But no, I mean, I think you could have, because I think the whole, I think they overexposed Shao Kahn in the fights. I think he should have been the last fight. I don't think he should have fought Cole Young. I think if you would have seen him and Jax squaring off on that and him killing Jax, I think it would have held a lot more. Sonya in this movie was just a placeholder. It was like he really didn't contribute hardly anything outside of going to try to recruit Johnny Cage and killing Sindel. I think we already talked about Sindel was very underutilized. Jade was a non-existent character. I think they actually should have killed Raiden in it. I think that they should have killed Raiden. And I know that that's going to be controversial on a lot of people that may watch this. But if you kill Raiden and you keep the amulet intact with the essence of Raiden, that makes the whole Liu Kang thing a little bit more understandable when he becomes the fire god, because in the games he actually replaces Raiden as an elder god. Raiden gets stripped. Raiden enters the tournament, strips himself of his godhood, and Liu Kang actually becomes the overseer of Earth as the god of fire, and Raiden has just become immortal. He's mortal again. So I think that they could have done that, or just turn Raiden mortal again and have his essence in there, and you could have explained all that. If you're not familiar with the games, the whole Liu Kang thing, everybody's like, "What the fuck? What happened?" That makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't build up to anything. It doesn't hint at anything. It's like, okay, Liu Kang's dead.
He just gets impaled and goes, "Oh, I understand now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go save Kung Lao for some reason. Peace out."
Yeah, and it doesn't.
See you in the sequel.
But yeah, I mean, I really think that they could have done a little bit more building for the casual fan. But like we said, like Mark, you pointed out, Robert, you hit it on it as well. They took everything from the first one, said, "Look, this shit didn't work. Let's just throw every kind of fan service possible at that." And I do think, even though I love, uh, the Scorpion Sub-Zero dynamic, I think it was shoehorned into this, just for the fan service. Uh, and I hate
That
that.
said, bless Hiroyuki Sanada for having the gravitas and presence to basically look at the camera and go, I'm Hanzo Hayashi. Hell bends to my will, and have it like actually land.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it was shoehorned in simply because when you think Mortal Kombat, those are that rivalry is so much. And what's really weird is if you've ever watched the Mortal Kombat Legacy animated movies, they do a lot of things right. Namely the Scorpion, the whole Scorpion Sub-Zero fight, the whole Shao Kahn taking over Earthrealm, and they do a really good Johnny Cage. And those are the only three that I've actually seen that's out. But I think this was just basically, let's shove all the fan service, correct what everybody bitched about in the first one. Let's shove all the fan service into this one so we can get to the third one. And it's just kind of a filler movie to get to the next one.
All right, Jason's going to be back with us to fulfill his obligation on the debt that he lost. The bet that he lost, rather. He had bet that The Miz was going to be Johnny Cage. Turned out it was Karl Urban, so he owes us a podcast. And we decided this on one of the previous ones. Maybe it was Send Help. It's going to be Deliverance, The Deer Hunter, and Dog Day Afternoon. Bring a sack lunch for the Deer Hunter. Let me tell you.
Well, that's a long movie.
Yes, it is.
It's very talkative.
So that's going to be July 23rd. That's when Jason will be back. And then the next one I have you is September 21st for Resident Evil. And then finally, the last movie of the year that you're participating in is the Damn You Hollywood we're going to do for the straight streaming Madden movie, as in John Madden. So unless there's something else, Jason, that's pretty much your whole schedule for the rest of the year.
Yeah, unless there's something that pops up that I see that I want to hop on. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think people are still trying to recover from my overexposure in February. I think we've done like.
Yeah. Well, considering I only wanted to work, I'm like Roman Reigns. I only want to work 2 days a week now. There's going to be a little less of that in the coming years, where I'm not doing 4 in a row. It'll be like 1 or 2, and that's the month, because I got to make room for other stuff that I don't do on different days. But that's inside baseball. Jason, always a pleasure. This was less contentious than the last few have been, which was pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, nobody threatened to fight each other and get pissed off because Send Help was a horrible movie.
I listen, I've learned from the last couple of podcasts just how to touch you in the right places. So I did that. And I feel like I got the juice I was looking for.
Stroke me all the right ways, Mark.
Yes, indeedy. All right, now that we've made Robert uncomfortable, I will talk to you later, Jason.
All right, see you guys.
All right. This fucking movie, dude.
Yeah, look, part of me wanted to enjoy it. Like I just, everything I said negative about the Super Mario Galaxy movie just kept flashing in my head when I was watching this. I'm like, yep, that's true of this one too. That's true of this one too. That's true of this one too.
I just kept thinking, like, this is so fucking goofy. I can't take it seriously. And then I was like, oh God, I got to talk about this with Jason now, who's going to think that, who's going to act like this is the Shawshank Redemption. So,
well, look, the problem is, like, you, as I said, you've got to lean into the goofiness of this. You can't play it. I mean, look, this is not as good as the 90s Mortal Kombat movie, which is still, I think, the best version of the Mortal Kombat story.
Yeah, so in preparation for this, I went back and threw all that stuff in the ChatGPT. So there's the on trial that we did, and then there's the review where you were having dental pain. I was having dental pain and I made one too many dick jokes and you screamed at me. And the whole rest of the podcast is us tearing the movie apart like angry wolves. Also, Alexis and Jason were there. But like they're like, from what I gathered from the notes that the GPT pulled out, was that they were equally negative on the movie. Like, we liked the stuff with Scorpion, and then the rest of it was just, we hated the stuff with Cole, and everything else was kind of trash. And that's, had we done this the way I normally would do, I would have brought that up from the beginning. I would have read a whole thing. Because I think the important thing, is the last thing I say before we go into the money. I think it's important to look at this movie in contrast to the one that preceded it, because it's two different.
Yeah.
It's so much two different movies that that's kind of the spectacle of it all. Is that, and I was thinking about this right before we ended with Jason, how there's such an overcorrection in this movie that entire characters and their position in the first movie are eliminated. Sonya Blade is the Johnny Cage of the first movie, and here she's relegated to kind of a tour guide. Like, she's not the POV character, I'll tell you that much. She's not even the fucking star of the movie anymore.
Dude, Cole Young is like the guy we're supposed to be rallying behind through the entire first movie. Nobody likes him, so but it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't things, because there's a degree to which, yeah, sure, Gallagher, that guy, no one's going to miss him. But we also spent the entire first movie with him, and now I feel insulted.
So for people to understand what I'm talking about, let's take Star Wars. This is the most easiest, most recognizable movie in the history of film, right? So we have Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia. Those are your trio, and your bad guy is Darth Vader. And let's just, for example, say everyone thinks, Luke Skywalker is a communist homosexual and nobody likes him. So in the second movie, he dies on Hoth and is replaced by Lando Calrissian. And now he's your POV character. That's what this was like.
Yeah, that's not horribly incorrect as far as like what we're doing with the, again, character work, character position in the story, narrative focus. Yeah, it's all over the place. And I can only hope that the third one actually blends what the two perspectives, in the sense that, yeah, go ahead and lean into the silliness. Yes, this is still going to be, fighting game based. But you can still actually like tell an okay story with characters and developments and arcs and things in that context.
So I was thinking about something that is lore heavy that I do like, and it's my favorite thing ever, and it's the Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings. It's full of lore, but it also is written from a real life human who really served in World War I and was really smart and knew a lot about linguistics. It was kind of his field of study. Not kind of, it was his field of study. He
literally wrote one of the Oxford English dictionaries.
And he was working through trauma and a lived life experience and his perspective on the world through his writing of the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings tells us about ourselves. The Lord of the Rings is about more than just midgets throwing jewelry into a volcano, and long walks and stuff. I push the Lord of the Rings on people because it's one of the best fantasy. This Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. It's one of the best made fantasy movies of all time. But one of the things that makes it that is that the Lord of the Rings has a lot going on thematically. It has a lot going on in terms of messages, in terms of psychology, in terms of what we learn about ourselves as people. I react strongly to the Lord of the Rings because it touches me, and I'm not making a joke. It touches me in places a lot of movies don't. And Mortal Kombat's not interested in any of that. Mortal Kombat's not interested in about relatability. I just listened to Jason do almost an entire 45-minute fucking TED talk on game lore. And this isn't a knock on Jason or really a knock on Mortal Kombat, but all I heard was meow, 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 meow. Not once did he say anything about what Mortal Kombat is in terms of what it says about the human condition. So you're talking about the difference between something that's, a really, really well-made piece of art and something that is marshmallow fluff. And there's room in the consumer space for both, but don't sit here and tell me marshmallow fluff has as much value as a filet mignon. Your thoughts, and then we'll get into the money.
I don't disagree. Look, I've played a lot of most of the Mortal Kombat games. I can't say all, but most. I know the lore fairly well, not inside and out, but fairly well. Because I find the world interesting, but this is part of the.
In the way that I just described Lord of the Rings, or something else? Because
no.
Like, I was gonna say, like, what did I miss?
But look. It's not like thematically rich.
Okay.
I find it interesting because one, it just goes so insane. And at a certain point, like all world building and all like narratives like this, there comes a point when you've escalated and you're trying to figure out what to do next, and you have to sit down and have a look in the mirror and go, okay, I can either bring this back, try to scale it down and make it, try to keep it at least somewhat believable, even internally believable, or we just go further. And Mortal Kombat, the Mortal Kombat lore and universe just went further. And I respect that honestly, because
that's what I was saying about, like, if I had to Freaking Zach. This movie needs more kicks and punches. Thank you, Zach. You're a good boy. That's why I was like, if I had to do a one-to-one comparison, if somebody's like, you're being a snob, video game movies are the best thing ever, fine. Back against the wall, pick one to do a one-to-one comparison with. It's Injustice. But Injustice fucking talked about what happens when you give the Job treatment to Superman. How does he act? What does he do? And then when faced with a god, who's decided that I'm good enough and I'm smart enough and gosh darn it, people like me, so we're going to do things my way from now on because I'm the best of us. And there's a good portion of the people that go, what the fuck do you think you're doing? None of us want this. This flies in the face of what is in fact best for humanity, and that is free will. And you've just laser zapped it with your eyes. Like, that's the kind of stuff Injustice is talking about. And granted, it does a lot of the same silly things that this one does, but at least the Injustice had something to say. This doesn't, near as I can tell.
Because there's so many games, I think some of them actually do have quasi-interesting themes to explore, but some of that's just like success by attrition rather than success by numbers. Like, there's so many of these. Well, by default, at least one or two is going to stumble into something interesting.
I'm sure if Jason were here, if somebody comes back who's really familiar with like Mortal Kombat's entire personality, the answer I would get is there are some personal relationships between characters that speak to the human condition. And I how could I possibly argue with that? And if that's enough for you, that's great. It's not for me, and that's also a personal thing, which I do get. I like big ideas. If there's no big idea here, I'm going to be left wanting. For people who are more person-centered and the relationships between people are just enough for them, great. Okay. It's like big world. This different stuff for all of us. Literally the last word, and then let's go. I'm putting my finger on the button.
Look, if you're a big fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise, you'll probably have a decent time with this. If you're a moderate fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise, you'll probably have an okay time with this. I appreciate that this movie didn't, for once, for the first time, we've only had a few of these. It's a video game adaptation that kind of just decided, you know what, we're going to give the fans exactly what they want. And that has a bunch of negatives attached to it as well. And they just said, nope, negatives are going to come along with, we're not going to try to smooth this out and to elevate anything. And that is a way to please the seals, and it is not a way to make anything worthwhile. But then again, the previous one to this Mortal Kombat felt like it tried and just failed miserably. And if you can't succeed at all, you may as well try to succeed financially by doing what the people want. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, again, this is like the worst thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not the worst movie I've seen this year. It's not good.
You know, it's funny.
But
I know you love and hate the wrestling references. Kind of reminds me of so we've had Hogan for all of these years. So, but that led us to the steroid trial. So we'll put the belt on Bret. He doesn't look like he uses steroids, and he'll be just as great as he'll be just as great as Hogan, because he'll give sunglasses to children, and we'll get the stink of steroids off of us. And not enough people like Bret Hart at that particular time to make this a economically viable thing. So instead they put the title on Shawn. And Shawn's terrible in every way, but the people love him and don't know how terrible he really is at that time. This Mortal Kombat 2, the Shawn Michaels of these movies.
I'm going to wildly disagree with the first one of these being anywhere near Bret Hart. I understand the point being made, but
you can fill
even under tremendous dental pain, if pressed to be hypercritical of Bret, wouldn't go anywhere near what we said about the first one of these.
What am I supposed to do to make that analogy work? Go Hogan Warrior? What do you want from me? All right, let's move on with the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Yes, now. Alrighty. On a budget of $80 million, this thing has raked in $60 million, so it'll probably be profitable, all things
Might
considered.
Get there.
Yeah. As of
that
May
said,
10th,
when you can't unseat the Devil Wears Prada 2, that's not exactly a...
Well, the Sheep Detectives were in there too, so, I've heard it's a lovely
letting
movie.
the audience there, the Sheep Detectives in Mortal Kombat 2.
My God, it's like the Ross Perot of movies. Deep cut the podcast. As of May 10th, 2026, Mortal Kombat 2 grossed $40 million in the US and Canada and $23 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $63 million. It was produced in a budget of $80 million and absolutely looks like it. In the United States and Canada, Mortal Kombat 2 opened alongside the lovely Sheep Detectives and Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour, live in 3D, and was projected to gross 40 to 45 million in its opening weekend. Made 17 million on its first day, including 5.2 million in Thursday night previews, and went on to debut 38.5 million, finishing second behind a sequel to a 20-year-old movie.
Yep.
This is why we can't have nice things. All right, The Devil Wears Prada 2 maintained its spot 2 weeks in a row at number 1. Yay, Walt Disney. Mortal Kombat 2 debuted at 2. Bit of a black eye for Warner Brothers, but they've seen worse. Michael fell from 2 to 3. The Sheep Detectives from Amazon MGM Studios debuted at 4. The aforementioned Billie Eilish from Paramount International debuted at number 5. Super Mario Galaxy movies fell from 3 to 6. Project Hail Mary 4 to 7. Hook'em 5 to 8. Deep Water 8
Hook'em
to
apparently
9.
pretty darn good for a horror movie.
Animal Farm, which is getting raked over the coals,
as it should.
10. So that's that. Silent Friend debuted at 16. Blue Film debuted at 23. The Python Hunt 27. And that was the weekend that was. Worldwide, Super Mario remains the number 1 movie in the world with 940 worldwide.
Probably not going to get to $1 billion at this point.
Diminishing returns. And then we have a $300 million fucking drop to Project Hail Mary.
Steep difference between those two, but you know what? Project Hail Mary getting past Pegasus 3 was like the real win there, because Project Hail Mary has been a giant success.
I'm telling you, we're gonna be revisiting that at the Oscars next year.
Some of it, yeah.
Pegasus 3 is at 649. Michael just shooting up the charts at 581. Big hit for Lionsgate. Lionsgate, scrappy little studio, still in there fighting, baby. I mean,
Yep.
as every studio gets swallowed up by an internet, by some sort of internet machine company, computer company, there's Lionsgate. Just come on, motherfuckers! I love it.
Them and Sony, the world's worst tag team of independent theater. Still.
They're the new age outlaws of fucking movies, the movie studios.
No, then they'd be attached to bigger products.
Fine. I don't know. Head Cheese, Al Snow, and Steve Blackman.
Al Snow and Steve Blackman as head cheese is a hell of a pull.
The Devil Wears Prada 2 is at number 5 with 431 million.
Shame on everyone who's seen that.
371, Wuthering Heights 241, Blades of the Guardians 215, and Scream 7 207. And rounding out the top 10 is Scare Out at 200 million. So 200 million right now is the line, but we are getting into the big June is going to be the big month where, every single movie that comes out in June that we're reviewing should be in the top 10, presumably.
Well, let's for the sake of argument, what are we reviewing in June, Mark? Let's see if we decide if they get to 200 million as things currently stand.
June 8th is Masters of the Universe, which is worrying people now, as in the pre-sales are not great.
Yeah, that one definitely might.
Disclosure Day, which is the new Spielberg.
That probably will. If that's good, it definitely will. We're starved for good movies right now.
It got a commercial during the Super Bowl. People know it exists. It's had a long trailer campaign. So why not? Toy Story 5. Hey, look, something I recognize. Well, the people will say.
Yeah, probably. We'll do better than Hoppers. Like I feel confident saying Toy Story 5 will surpass Hoppers. So it'll be top 10 for at least a period of time.
And then rounding out June is Supergirl, which I just read the book that it's based on, and okay, an odd choice to do your Supergirl movie, but whatever. I'm so tired of arguing about this.
Okay, Supergirl will probably crack 200 million. For me, the line there is, does it crack, 600? Mm-hmm. Because if that thing barely scrapes by with 5, you're looking at an enormous drop from Superman to Supergirl, and James Gunn's DC experiment is.
What's probably not going to make it's probably not going to make the top 10? The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Almost certainly not. It's going to open softer than Solo.
Yep. Star Wars is a dead brand, deader than Kelsey's nuts. DED dead. At this point, I don't know what you do to revive this brand. You have shot this thing so full of holes.
Okay. How would I fix Star Wars? Well, you heard the rumor.
Yeah, they're retconning the sequel. And the Critical Drinkers guys did a whole thing on. I haven't listened to it. I listened to his review of this Mortal Kombat 2, and he gave it a pretty rave review for him. But I saw they talked about we talked about it too in a show before where. Oh no, we talked about Marvel retconning. Oh Jesus Christ, what a pattern we're looking at.
Aren't we?
We're gonna Batgirl the last 5 years of movie making.
Okay, if I'm put in charge of Star Wars.
Years ago, I pitched just start all over again, but start with Shadows of the Empire, or just start all over again entirely. Just wipe the slate clean, start with the Old Republic, and work our way forward.
Well, here's the other thing about Star Wars: we don't have to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Go 10,000 years in the future. You can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you as long as you have the laser swords and the pew pews and the Force, you're okay.
Well, I think
Star Wars isn't actually about anything. It's I'm being glib, but you know what I mean.
The Lucas stuff more so is about stuff than anything non-Lucas related. Here's what I'll tell you. I think if you want an analog for what do you do with Star Wars, you look at Star Trek. Modern Star Trek. And hold on, before everyone yells at me, obviously you don't make the kind of mistakes they made on Starfleet Academy or Discovery. But I do think since Star Trek stopped being science fiction, started being science fantasy, it went far enough out that it didn't have any more attachments to the lore, and they just kind of, what's going on in the universe? We have some degree of, this is what I'm getting at. There's some degree of order. It's rubbing up against some degree of disorder, and our stories are in the middle of all that. That would be Star Wars. That's it. You don't need to say it any more complex than that. I don't think we need to go back to an Empire and Rebels, because please don't. But I do think there has to, because the reality is the world has organization, and then there's disorganization ambling about in different places.
Yeah.
And our stories exist there. It's not that hard.
If you want to press me, here's the other thing I would do. Assuming you have to kind of leave like the Rey stuff alone. Like if I can't like excise it and say it's non-canon.
Mm-hmm.
I have to leave it there, and I don't have to do anything with it, but I have to leave it alone. I would recast Luke, Han, and Leia, and we just pick up where Return of the Jedi left off.
That's what I said, but if you don't want to go all the way back to the Old Republic, if you just want to start with, we're in the middle of a rebellion against an empire, and we're gonna retell Luke's story. Yeah, I would agree with you, and I've pitched that story. But the feedback I got back on that was no one would accept the new Luke Skywalker. Not a single person.
I say that's crap.
Whatever. And if you wait long enough, enough boomers and some of us Gen Xers will be, God willing, will be dead. And people left over are more likely to accept newly casted characters, because there isn't nearly enough people alive that were attached to them.
Look, here's my logic behind this. They had to recast Obi-Wan. Like Sir Alec Guinness was dead and way too old to play young Obi-Wan, so we cast a new guy. It was great. It worked. Mark Hamill at this point is too old to play Luke Skywalker post Jedi. Harrison Ford is too old to play Han Solo. Carrie Fisher is dead.
Yeah, let me help you. The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah. Like there's any number of things that you can do with this. Just you recast. I mean, when they did that, did you see you saw this? Like the guy they cast to play Luke in his cameo at the end of Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't need to CGI young Mark Hamill onto that dude's face. He looks enough like him as is. They should have just put him out there. No one would have complained.
Yeah.
He looks enough like, here, this is the guy. This is Luke Skywalker. It's not Mark Hamill. It's not. It's Luke Skywalker.
Considering between Empire and Jedi, fucking Mark Hamill got into an accident and his whole fucking head structure changed.
Yeah.
Like he went from having a normal head to having a plate. And I mean like a dinner plate as a face.
Yeah, I literally would just recast, and we tell stuff before we have to deal with the BS of Rey. Or, again, the alternative, we go 10,000 years into the future. Everyone associated with everything before is dead. Everyone. Nope, no Yoda, no Chewie, no, dead. No Force Ghosts, none of it.
Here's what I'll tell you. If you want to create the organization that's currently running things and is having difficulty with the ambling disorder, the galaxy is run by Jedis.
Yeah.
There's period. They're not an ancillary unit of any kind of giant republic. It's just the world is run by Jedis. And some of these Jedis can keep their shit together and some of them can't. Because that solves a huge problem is, what do we do for the fans that like Mortal Kombat 2? Give everybody a lightsaber and just let them run around and hit each other with it. Because that's all anyone wants out of Star Wars now.
I mean, that's kind of all it was to begin with. I mean, we overly romanticize the original trilogy at this point, but I mean, the entire thing is spun out of serial, like 1930s serials, and George Lucas ripping off samurai films because gives no credit to Kurosawa.
Well,
like it's not. Hang on. I have a very simple point about that. I'm not trying to be dismissive or insulting.
Okay.
The point is, this is not that deep, but because the only way anyone knows how to engage with anything anymore is to grab a piece of dialogue someone says and then hyper fixate on it and spin out your own fan fiction and then get that passed off as professional grade writing, nothing can be what the original Star Wars was, because no one will interact with entertainment media that way on that level anymore.
Yeah, we've said that.
I mean, at the creative level, not at the fan level.
Both of us have said that same thing in different podcasts in different ways. Have you seen the interviews with George Lucas? Says that in his mind, the rebels are the Viet Cong.
Sort of, yes. It's him talking with James Cameron in there.
Yeah.
Which is,
again, you say like the Star Wars movies aren't about anything. They're George Lucas's editorial point of view on what at the time that he was, remember, he's a fucking, what is he? He's a boomer, isn't he? George Lucas?
Probably. He's an old hippie. Him and James Cameron, they're old hippies. So everything they do is filtered through the lens of Vietnam.
So again, you know what Star Wars is his interpretation through his space fantasy lens of Nixon and the fucking hippies and the Viet Cong. You can't say it's nothing. That's something.
Here's why I say I think it's about nothing. That's his interpretation of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a million others, and that's not a bad thing. When your work is such that any number of people can look at it and interpret it any number of different ways, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It just means that I don't give a shit what he says about it.
So going all the way back to the beginning so we can move on. I think of all the big summer movies starting in June, Mandalorian's almost at the end of the month. So I'll loop it in, but I don't think Mandalorian makes it into the top 10. I do think Masters of the Universe, Toy Story, and
Toy Story almost certainly.
Yeah, Disclosure Day is a 50-50.
Well, so again, the question is will it break 200 million right now? Disclosure Day, I definitely think breaks 200 million.
Right, but by that point, is it enough to? Because is the bottom 400 million by that point?
No way. No way. There is no way we will double the 10th spot with like 5 more movies. There's no way we do that.
We have in July. We have Minions 3.
Sorry. You meant like end of year. Okay, end of year. I'm not as sure about, but like for a while, it's going to be there.
Minions, yes, makes the top 10. Moana,
probably.
It's hard to tell. I mean, Lilo and Stitch upset any structure I had for understanding people's reactions to Disney.
That said, like Moana doesn't seem to have what some of the stuff Lilo and Stitch had going for it, so I don't know.
So Moana, Evil Dead Burn, no.
Probably not. Spider-Man, I mean, I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it, but it's probably not a top 10 movie when it's all said and done.
Spider-Man, yes. So I
probably.
I rearranged the calendar again, by the way, and it's fun to do this on air to see what your reaction is. Probably nothing, and I'll be disappointed. But you know how like I wanted to put Beast on the schedule to make you happy, and nothing makes you happy, so I took it off the schedule because you said you didn't want to do it, or you weren't like thrilled about the idea. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to make myself do this either. So instead, I revisited an oldie but a goodie, but I put a new spin on it. Instead of doing the 15 worst movies of the year and doing like a big streaming catch up, I limited it to 10, but I also did it by genre and not by rating. So we're doing a damn you don't ever say you don't like something I'm doing. Just say yes. So it's a comedy. We're doing a Damn You Hollywood comedy catch up, and it's 10. It's from January to July. The 10 streaming comedies that have come out. Would you like to know what that list looks like?
Would you like to have my resignation?
Starting it off with You're Dating a Narcissist. Then we move on to Pizza Movie, Outcome, The Christophers, Balls Up, Roommates, Ladies First, Little Brother, 72 Hours, and The Dink.
I don't know what you hope to accomplish with this.
More movies for the bottom 5.
I don't know what you hope to accomplish with this.
We're friends. That'll be fun. I can't wait.
I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish with this, Mark.
Okay. I had to knock one movie off and it generated a new triple feature. Would you like to see what that one is?
Sure.
Okay, so there was a movie that came out earlier in the year called The Napa Boys, and I'm like, this looks interesting. I really want to talk about this. But then I ended up with 11 movies, so I'm like, I'll take one of these off. I'll take The Napa Boys off. But I'm like, oh, wine movie, perfect. I'll pair that with Sideways and Wine Country.
Okay.
So that's me and you again. I have wanted to talk about Sideways for a long time. That's been on my short list of things to talk about.
That tracks. I mean, I hate the fact that it gave us Sandra Oh as a thing.
Yeah.
Because that's been a net negative.
So anyway, that's what I worked on today. Aren't you happy? Aren't you happy I had
No.
2 no-shows in a row that gave me time to do this?
No, Mark, I am not happy with this.
I hear no. I hear you say no, but by the time it gets to my brain, it's yes.
That defense doesn't hold up in court.
So I've been told. All right, let's move on to the last bit of our show here. Here it is, the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
In my defense of the comedy catch-up, you said if I put comedies on the schedule, you would review them.
That is my stance on anything you put on the schedule. I'm never going to, but you know better than this, Mark.
We're going to have fun. All right.
I am not convinced that's an accurate prediction on your part.
65% on the tomato meter. All critics is 65. Top is, Jesus, 41. They were not having a good time with this. Verified audience is 89. All audiences also 89. And
That's
the
about
AI
right.
And the AI writes, a self-aware slugfest that plays directly to those who know the difference between fatalities and babalities. Oof.
You turn your opponent into a baby.
I would have gone with friendship. Mortal Kombat 2 may not be a flawless
They
victory.
didn't say animalities.
I guess. May not be a flawless victory, but it's likely the most roundly enjoyable entry into the franchise yet.
No, let's stop this. This is not as good as the first one from the 90s. It's not.
And
it's better than anything else apart from that one, but it's not as good as that one.
And a group of SEALs in a trench coat approximating a person say, Karl Urban as Johnny Cage alone is worth the price of admission in this second installment of Mortal Kombat, a gleefully gory victory that delivers faithful lore and bone-crunching fatalities. I sat next to like a family, like a mom and like her kids, and listening to this woman react to some of the more gruesome fatalities, I didn't know whether to feel bad for her or not. The kids, however, were having a grand old time.
I'm sure they were.
Nick Johnson of Onyland. The uber seriousness with Mitch McQuoid and writer Jeremy Slater hold the uber goofy combat canon is actually one of the film's best assets.
Not an unfair summation.
Travis Johnson of Blunt Magazine. Ultimately, Mortal Kombat 2 just makes the grade as a Friday night time killer, but I can't imagine ever bothering to watch it twice.
Oh, very accurate. This thing's going to have a giant drop next week.
Yeah. Simon Rancho of Screen Anarchy. Just indulgent enough to satisfy the hardcore fans and exhausting for everyone else. Hello.
This guy is speaking to you.
Yes. Its daft pleasures are evident, if over-egged, resulting in some blood-drunk amusement that eventually turns into dizzy CTE. Jesus, speaking of dizzy...
I'm not going to get brain trauma from this, my man.
Speaking of dizzy CTE, Jeff Harris of 401mania.com. Mortal Kombat 2 fails to achieve the past heights of the franchise, but the sequel does make some significant improvements over the previous movie.
He is entirely correct.
Well, it's basically what we said. Jason Miller of Nerdspin. Urban is the missing piece this franchise didn't know it needed. Loose, likable, and magnetic enough to make the film, even the film's weaker stretches, worth sitting through.
Yeah.
The Future Xmas is Robert Winfree, Carla Hay of Culture Mix. Compared to previous Mortal Kombat movies, Mortal Kombat 2 has a cheekier, self-aware attitude that is violent video game schlock. Karl Urban had a better screenplay, save this sequel from being forgettable dreck.
I don't know if this is a better screenplay. Like, it's barely a screenplay structurally.
I was like, this is not a movie.
Yeah.
Kevin Marr of the Times UK, you'll really want to punch your own lights out.
Aren't you just clever?
Rachel Wagner of Rachel Reviews YouTube. Karl Urban steals the show. I had a good time with it. I can see Russia from my house.
How deeply unhelpful. Like, stealing the show from this is just taking candy from a baby. There's no one else here almost with any chops.
Rebecca Johnson of Talking Films. With a misguided story that lacks both stakes and an obvious through line due to an onslaught of new characters, Mortal Kombat 2 feels less focused than its predecessor and therefore a lot messier.
Okay. I'm sorry, not understood stakes. They only say it multiple times that the fate of the world hangs in the balance. I don't know how can your listening comprehension be that bad?
Mark Kermode of Kermode and the Mayo's Take YouTube. It was generally smashy bashy fun.
That's barely a sentence.
I was like, this guy got to be on Rotten Tomatoes, and here we toil. Gosh, where's Black Robert Winfree when we need him?
Oh, he ain't watching this.
One of the internet's greatest monsters, Doug Walker of Channel Awesome. Unapologetically a Mortal Kombat movie, a ridiculous, bloody, visual, fun B movie that captures the spirit of the games.
I wouldn't quite say it captures the spirit, but it does a better job than the previous one, if nothing else.
Johnny Oleksinski. Now it's just repetitive kills, bottom drawer cartoons.
I feel like there's a translation issue going on there, but it doesn't indicate the full review is in a different language.
Robbie Collin of Daily Telegraph. Directed, like the last, by Australia's Simon McQuoid, it is another dramatization of the crass and embarrassing beat-em-up series famous for the elaborate finishing moves with which one battler disembowels the other at the end of a bout. All right, sir, like, this isn't for me either, but there are bigger fish to fry. Go touch grass.
I'm going to need you to be a little bit less serious about the Mortal Kombat movie.
Or their existence as the games. I mean,
yeah.
You know, like when I
was
pretend
you enjoyed Mixtape a little more, yep.
There was a card and like cigarette store at the end of my block. So, you know, summertime, get with friends, get some quarters together, go walk down there, buy some not literally baseball cards. I was like Star Wars cards and stuff like that. You know, and throw your quarters into some video games. And what better to draw a crowd than fighting games? You know, we play against each other, we play against the machine. Mortal Kombat was one of them. You know, prior to that was Street Fighter. I actually have more sentimental attachment to Street Fighter, given my age at the time, than I did to Mortal Kombat. Because I will tell you this, like Street Fighter 2, I played a lot of. I walked down there a lot. There was a Taco Bell there at the time, and you know, the lore has it that I moved away from home and that Taco Bell went out of business. Make of you that what you will. But as I got older and Mortal Kombat became a thing, by that point I wasn't walking down there to play the thing anymore. I was driving and doing other stuff that a teenager does. I wasn't a little kid anymore. So Street Fighter was more of, I have more of an attachment to Street Fighter because I was a little kid at the time, and that took up a lot of my time. Mortal Kombat, not so much. But it was there. I played it. You know, I liked using Scorpion. He was fun. I liked using Sub-Zero. Christy Pushko of Mashable. The bar is in hell for video game movies, huh?
No. Like, yeah, it's low, but this is not the worst video game adaptation I've ever seen either.
I was going to say, we live in a world where the Sonic games are really good. And recent.
Well, the Sonic movies.
Yeah, Sonic movies, sorry. Jeremy Johns, this is a Mortal Kombat movie. Take two. This is a Mortal Kombat film for Mortal Kombat fans. Thank you, Jeremy.
almost, again, it's not quite exclusionary, but it borders on it. I don't to anyone who's not like a big fan of the video games, you can still track and follow everything that happens. You don't need a deep understanding of characters and lore. They do a decent job of giving you enough to keep you engaged. So it's not, again, it's not exclusive or exclusionary, but it is very, very much like we are making this for the fans of Mortal Kombat. And if you're not that, okay. I don't know that I'd spend $80 million on that particular proposition, but I'm not a studio head.
If the cake given in a friendship fatality in a Mortal Kombat game were a person, it would be Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics. My heart belongs to Capcom and Street Fighter. Oh, damn it! Now I got something in common with Travis Hobson. I'm going to have to marry him. So it hurts me just a tiny bit to have to admit that Mortal Kombat 2 is friggin' awesome. I don't want to do this anymore. Woof. Woof. Would you like to say anything about Mr. Travis Hobson?
Nah. I'm content with your reaction.
Oh, that pit in my
Well,
stomach.
look, for certain people, this is going to be a rollicking good time, and I am not here to begrudge you your fun. I'm just here to say whether or not I enjoyed it.
So where on the end of the year top 10 list is this going to be on the Alexis list?
Probably not.
Boo.
She's going to put Spider-Man at number 1. Like, everything else doesn't matter.
Her top 5. Spider-Man, Mandalorian and Grogu, Supergirl. Supergirl's an iffy proposition with her because she doesn't like girls. So, I don't know about that one.
I mean, okay, no, sorry. I have to apologize. Her number 1 movie is going to be Doomsday.
Speaking of which, I saw the Dune trailer. That looks fucking awesome.
I'm very iffy on the on the third Dune movie. I mean, Villeneuve hasn't missed yet.
Dune may be the best fantasy trilogy since the Lord of the Rings. If this one lands,
to the extent that you want to categorize it as, again, like sci-fi and fantasy get lumped together all the time, so I'm not going to be too snobbish about it, but as a general proposition, yeah, I don't know what would be its major contender in that space.
When you look at everything that makes Lord of the Rings what it is, so far, Dune has accomplished that.
Chunks of it, but again, we'll see. I was not a fan of some of the choices they made at the end of Dune 2. How that plays out with Dune 3, we'll find out.
Yep. All right. Well, folks, that is our review of Mortal Kombat 2. I'm glad Jason was here, and I'm not being snarky when I say this, because had it just been me and you, it would have been a different review. In some ways, it would have been better, but I think in the way that I'm currently talking about it, would have been a lot worse, because I think this needed a fan's perspective. You know, somebody who's unabashedly a fan of the lore and treats it like it's the Bible. So I'm glad Jason was here to give that perspective, because we would have gotten criticism that we didn't have someone with that perspective. So Jason filled out his role nicely, and then we got rid of him. That made me happy. So
you're about to go asking him for financial help with your gambling, and you're just throwing shade at the end of a podcast.
That's just the way Jason and I are. All right. Yesterday was Fra Diavolo presents Remy's $1 Million Dinner. It is my 5-song EP where I wanted to play with Remy's lyric generator thing, so I came up with a concept where I wasn't really risking anything if the lyrics were stupid. So I did research, and I figured out what would be a 5-course meal that would be about $1 million. And then I asked Remy to create lyrics based on the dish. And it gave me 2 versions, and then I threw both versions in the chat GPT, and I said, merge these into a coherent song. And so it did. And I really liked the way $1 Million Dinner came out. The pop art album cover that I designed with the help of ChatGPT, fucking phenomenal. It's one of my favorite album covers I've ever done. I I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to it, but the inspiration for Golden Bone Broth was the bloodline from the WWE.
Stale and overexposed and sticking around way too long.
Just listen to it. It's I wanted to go for like a Sepultura, Soulfly kind of tribal thing, and then I think in my prompt it was just like, take the bloodline from the WWE and turn them into a song. That's what I want for Golden Bone Broth, and it's fucking. And then I turned the weirdness and the style thing all the way up. It's very different, which I like. So. But I like the way it came out. I don't always love what I produce for when I make AI music. Sometimes I kind of do it and I go, yeah, this is as good as it's gonna get based on what it is I'm trying to accomplish. And then there's other stuff where I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so clever. This is amazing. I'm so proud of myself. And God knows nobody else is. So this one, I don't always, other than to annoy Alexis, I don't always talk about this on here. This one I'm pushing. I even did a TikTok on it because I was saying something with this EP unintentionally, so I wanted to talk about that as well. So check out the TikTok, When the Poor and the Rich Eat Each Other, that talks about what the album is talking about, and then go check out the album on Spotify. This Wednesday, Gavin is back on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. He will join Jesse and I as we talk about Justified, City Primeval, which is a Justified show in name only. Oh boy. I like Elmore Leonard as much as the next guy, but this did not need to be a Justified show. We'll talk about it more on Wednesday. And then Thursday is a special episode of Source Material. That'll be myself and Jesse and interlopers Ben Cologne and Alexis Haina. We will be talking.
You let those barbarians in through the gates, and you're never going to get rid of them.
Nope. They will be coming on to talk Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which I wanted to do before the movie came out, and so we shall. Next week, we are back in the triple feature land, and we are, because Robert said he was okay with this, we are doing more streaming movie catch-ups. We're going to be reviewing Pretty Lethal, Mike and Nick and Alice, and Thrash, which is a fun.
I got to stop saying yes to so many things.
That's what she said. And finally, speaking of things Robert said yes to once upon a year, this episode of Sessions is dealing with Robert and I's review of Jupiter's Legacy. It's one of my favorite reviews we ever did. We did like 3 hours on that. We talked about everything. We got into so many different socio-political topics. It was just beautiful, and I want to celebrate it in song. So
if only we'd been talking about a better show, that would have just been the cherry on top of the sundae.
So I'm going to turn that discussion into a KMFDM song called Who Could Stop Us?
Okay.
All right, that's what I got there. What do you got over here?
I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. WWE SmackDown on Fridays, which is nigh unwatchable. They devoted like 4 segments off and on to trying to get Tala Tonga over again.
I thought they got rid of all the Tongans.
No, they got rid of Tongaloa and JC Mateo. They still have Tamatonga and Tala Tonga and Solo Sikoa. But Jacob Fatu and the Usos did the same thing they've been doing for 3 weeks. Jade Cargill showed back up with her 2 flunkies. Not to be confused with the other 3 group of 3 women who are a heel faction on SmackDown, because more of the same thing isn't bad, right? Right? Please say yes. And multiple segments devoted to the funeral for the gingerbread man, who then was revealed to once again be a rapper who pals around with Trick Williams to set up his match with Sami Zayn from Backlash. Yeah, SmackDown is not good. At some point, they might turn that around. So this Friday, we'll find out. It's the fallout from Backlash, and we'll see what happens. We'll have to see what happens. I cover UFC events on Saturday. This last Saturday was UFC 328. Sean Strickland became middleweight champion again. Joshua Van beat Tatsuro Taira in one of the fights of the year thus far. There was some not great stuff there, but all in all, a good card. when it was all said and done. So I'm mostly happy with it. So if you want a more detailed breakdown, I have the full round by round written report in the MMA Zone of 411 Mania. I also talk about these things on the 411 Ground to Pound MMA podcast, which goes live about 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, technically early Monday morning, late Sunday evening, again, depending on where you are in the world. So yeah, we reviewed UFC 328. We previewed the upcoming UFC event on Saturday, which is a good main event. We did a little preview for the Rousey and Carano card because I was asked to do so, and I'm willing to engage with the audience a little bit.
Are you covering that?
No, there's too much overlap with the UFC event that day.
Are they getting anyone to cover it?
I don't know that the MMA Zone does anything that I don't do. So no,
Okay.
as far as I can tell.
I gotta move my girlfriend's house into my. I have to take my girlfriend's very large 3-bedroom house and fit it into my very small garage. So I'm going to take 10 pounds of shit and shove it into a 5-pound bag Saturday. But when I'm done with that, I'm watching the Rousey Carano fight.
It's not going to be all that interesting. The best fight on that card is Saladin Parnasse and Kenny Cross.
I believe you.
Well, Francis Ngannou is going to kill a Brazilian that no one cares about. Mike Perry and Nate Diaz will be fun and bloody, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ronda Rousey is going to run over Gina in like 90 seconds.
I don't know. You don't think Ronda, being a showman and having done a stint in the WWE, won't try to drag this out 4 or 5 rounds to give the people their money's worth?
That's not her bag. That's not her bag. She's shock and awe.
Just run in and rip Gina's arm off and be done with it?
Yeah.
Alrighty. You're probably right.
Dude, Gina hasn't fought in 17 years.
No. I understand that there's no way in God's green earth Gina gives Ronda Rousey a good fight. My point was, I think I'm going to say the same thing I said in the Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, and I was wrong, but that somebody here has to know that people don't want to see a blitzkrieg. They want to see this go a few rounds to get their money's worth. So the talented person will carry the untalented person. Here, I am putting out there for consumption. Ronda carries Gina until she cannot be carried anymore. But you're saying no, she's just hot knife through butter.
Ronda doesn't like. How do I phrase this? Ronda can't risk this going sideways.
By the way, there was never any point in the career of Ronda Rousey where she wouldn't have beat Gina Carano.
Entirely correct.
So it's not like I'm saying Gina Carano ever stood a chance here, or that
I mean, to be fair, I think now might be the best time where she has the most chance because Ronda is so like concussed all to hell that if she gets hit clean, maybe, but small chance. Functionally, no. Ronda's going to do. This is Ronda's whole thing here is to try and like return to Strike Force form, where she's armbarring people in 90 seconds.
Okay.
No, she's not going to carry this. Like, no, get out of here. You want the Ronda experience? Shock and awe. That's it.
Kind of feel bad for Gina Carano, but I'm sure she's getting a wonderful payday out of this, considering that she got canceled there for a while. I'm sure she's happy to have her arm twisted in half for the money she's going to make.
Well, she's going to make good money, and it seems like her lawsuit with Disney finally is settled.
Yes. So
she's more available to do stuff now than when she was tied up in litigation with them.
Yeah, but I also think her son has set. She might get stuff. Don't get me wrong, but one, she wasn't a great actress to begin with. Two,
she's not great, but
the world has now moved on from when Gina Carano was hot, and whether or not, whatever side you took in her versus Disney, she's still a shit on her, no matter which way you look at it. If you're somebody from Hollywood who is looking for people to draw a crowd, Why would you look at Gina Carano at this point in her career?
I don't know, because frankly, because she is a passable actress, and if you want to keep going in the female action genre, she's at least believable.
Yeah, they'll probably put her in a fucking bare knuckle fight with Paige Van Zandt.
Paige is still doing Power Slap, I think, if memory serves.
Well, they could always bring her back. She was attractive, and they tried to make a thing of it with her, and she sucked in fucking bare knuckles. Like she sucked everywhere else she went.
Paige is just not very good
No,
at anything.
she was awfully pretty, and that's why she got as many chances as she got.
I mean, look, she had in fairness, let me give her the following kudos. Like, she actually had fighting spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was willing to fight.
Sure.
And whether she got lumped up and it was on the wrong end of stuff, she was still there to fight. And there's a mentality to that a lot of fighters lack. So she deserves that credit, but she never developed her skill set.
I will bet you one shiny nickel we end up seeing Paige Van Zandt versus Gina Carano in bare knuckle.
They are too far apart in weight.
I don't think that company cares.
I don't think Gina's going to do bare knuckle boxing.
I don't know, man. If the price is right. Anyway,
they can't afford her. It would be the other thing. Bare knuckle is. She would be fine.
You want to argue with me every single point? Then I put it to you: what third-rate pony show, dog and pony show, does Gina Carano show up in after Ronza rips her arm off?
I don't think she does any more fights.
You know,
she's 42.
What's the oldest anyone's continued to fight, like actively? Like up to what age?
Sort of depends on what you mean by actively.
Mm-hmm.
Let
me throw in a couple of names at you. How long did Bosch Rutan last?
Boss didn't last that long. His neck issues got him. Like, his last fight was the UFC title win, and he was only like 30 something.
Vanderlei Silva.
Vanderlei went for a while. Vanderlei boxed not that long ago and got knocked out by a security guard in a brawl after the fight because he got DQ'd for headbutting.
Ken Shamrock.
Way too long. He was into his 50s. Again, sort of.
Randy Couture.
I think Randy got out before his 50s, but I'd have to double check. I mean, she's not going to pull a George Foreman. Like, that's not what we're looking at here. Moreover, if she does want to try and get back into acting, even if it's not, big screen roles, like she wants to get back into TV stuff, and like, there's no way there's not a few streaming series that couldn't use her work. She's not going to get back into getting her face caved in for no money because MMA pays like shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not. You're probably not wrong. I'm sure she'll turn up as a third-tier character in some streaming show somewhere. Being a bodyguard or something like that. Anyway,
again, there's stuff she can do. I don't think she's gonna go back to fighting. I don't know that she should be sanctioned to go back to fighting. I don't know that Ronda should after the way she's talked about all of her head trauma. But
did Carano and the fuck's the other woman's name that was big at the time? Cyborg.
Yeah, that was the big one when Cyborg beat her.
Okay.
That was Gina's last fight.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering if it's Cyborg and Ronda who have never fought.
Correct.
Yeah. That'll be the next one.
They might try to. I mean, that all depends on whether or not Ronda wants to do this again. Like, she's doing this because she wanted to give Gina a payday because she saw Gina and Gina was like depressed and out of shape. She approached the UFC about making the fight with her and Gina. The UFC got sold not long after that and turned into TKO, and the people above Dana didn't want to pay Ronda what Ronda was demanding as financial compensation for no more pay-per-view. So she signed with Jake Paul, and they're doing it on Netflix. It's sort of the long and the short of that.
All right. We're at 2 hours for a show.
That's also why we're not getting Conor McGregor back.
So this has been your review of
anyway.
Mortal Kombat 2. Oh, for God's sakes!
So again, the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast on the 411 Wrestling and Entertainment YouTube channel. Go give that a listen. I delve into the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts. As previously mentioned, this Saturday's a UFC event that I'll be covering, and SmackDown, where my soul dies a little bit. Man, I gave this last week's episode of SmackDown like a 5.9 out of 10. Because I did not enjoy the gingerbread man funeral stuff, which is a whole thing that sounds crazy if you haven't been watching, but
Yeah, no, I got it.
when even the other reviewers at 411 are in the mid sixes on an episode, I don't begrudge anyone who did laugh at the gingerbread man stuff. I just didn't. Like this is not one of those things that is beneath wrestling. Literally nothing is beneath professional wrestling. It is the underminer.
Please be done.
Vince wanted incest. Nothing is outside the bounds of this company and this medium. Anyway, so next week, please come back for more rambling, incoherent nonsense. And a good time will be had by all. But yeah, that's going to do it for me.
Well, Vince wanted incest is the phrase that pays here on the Damn You Hollywood Experience. So, for Robert Winfree, I'm on a tiny raft trying to save the world. Be well, be safe, and behave.